Hey guys, Marzingin here bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so we are continuing on looking at the World Tournament EZAs from this current tournament, and we have the INT Android 18, shout out to our boy Bringer, the full level 10 links, ready to go, no skill orbs. I think I just gave her a bit of a mixed build, I guess, 12 additional, 9 crit and 5 dodge because she's an INT unit, so obviously she gets 5 dodge. She has a super INT types leader skill, 110%, which is really random because Pan's AGL one is like 120, so I'm not really sure why they made that choice. But her super attack is the Destructo Disc, which is supreme damage to the enemy, raise attack and defense by 50% for 3 turns. So if she's on rotation, you will still have those buffs again on the next turn, which is quite interesting. And then when we look at her passive, key 3 attack and defense 180%. Launches an additional attack that has a medium chance to become a super. Then she gets an additional attack and defense 180% for 3 turns after receiving an attack. She has a high chance to dodge and gets an extra 180% attack and launches an additional attack that has a medium chance to become a super for 3 turns after evading an attack. Launches an additional super when there is another android's ally on the team. So that's a very easy restriction to get on the team. However, when it comes to her teams, she's not on a lot of 200% teams. She is on the she's another one of these characters where she is on Majin Buu Saga. So she's on Gotenks' lead, but then for other 200% leads, she's got the STR Carnival Goku, STR Roshi, because obviously she is a Peppy Gal's character, and then the AGL Gamma 2, who obviously is a bit outdated at this point. You need to have an android on the team. So originally, because she is on the Buu Saga, I thought, well, you know, we could just run the 200% Buu Saga team. But there are no other androids on the Buu Saga category other than the STR Android 18. That is the one from like the Bio Broly movie poster, right? Where it's her and the AGL Goten and Physical Trunks. So she doesn't really work very well on that team. So Buu Saga is kind of difficult for her. With the buff that she gets from her super attack effect, I do actually think it's better to run her on like a 170 team where you're actually going to have an android ally and get that extra super, rather than running her on a 200% team and not having an android ally on the team. So obviously that is what we are doing here. We're running the Android 21 team, but obviously with Android 21's secondary part of her leader skill being power absorption, transformation boost or crossover. This 18 obviously is not on any of those categories. So she's starting off at 213k defense start of turn here. Unfortunately, this is quite a bad first turn. We don't really have any actual proper slot 1 units, so we're just going to be relying on that 50% dodge to come in clutch here in slot 1, which it may not, and we may immediately get destroyed here, but I guess we'll see. Nice, 315k. Well, we got a dodge, so we took a hit and got a dodge, so we've got her full passive active. 7.8 million here. We only got the additional from her passive that was a normal instead of a super. Then we get the guaranteed additional super, and then I think that's the hidden potential normal, or I guess actually it's hard to know all. Oh, okay, that was good. That would have been instant death. So she got 3 supers in that turn. I have to double check, I guess, because we got the dodge and we took a hit and we have the android's ally and then we have the hidden potential. Getting that extra attack, I think, is then what then procced the final attack. So the last super, I think, was the hidden potential. So I mean, we got a couple of supers off in the first turn, and then, like we said, with the way her thing works, oh great, MVP 17, absolutely selling in the last slot. I was gonna say, with the way her passive works, she keeps all that defense for the next turn, but hopefully we can get a better starting rotation this next time. Okay, so she's on turn 2, but we've definitely got a bit of a better start here. The thing is, it's risky for her, I think, especially on the first turn, to put her in slot 1. But obviously she gets those buffs for 3 turns by dodging or being hit. So you know, you do get the instant reward of, if you are dodging, especially like if you dodge a hit and take a hit, like in the same set of attacks in slot 1, you get that instant reward of having like a full passive fully built up like straight away. Whereas obviously if you don't, then you're going to be a bit more limited. Because I mean, these attack stats, I know we're only on like a double 170 lead, but she's going to get a lot of extra attack from these buffs, right? So we took a hit, so we get a big buff now for 3 turns, which we will have on the next turn. We also have the super attack effect buff from the 2 supers that will carry over to her next turn as well. But I mean, you can see a big difference from that attack stat, like after not having both dodged and received an attack in slot 1, as we did in the initial clip. Like, it comes back to what I've said about these World Tournament units for this entire set, where the main thing that I try and think about is, like, what is their role on the team? Like, would you use them on any of these specific teams? And the thing with her, very much like the Pan, is like she's not providing support or anything like that. So her role on the team really is just going to be that she's there to do some damage. And once you do get some build up and you get some stacks of those super attack effects and stuff like that, then obviously she is eventually going to build up to having some relatively good like start of defense where you're not completely reliant on dodging. But obviously against any of the like really hard hitting attacks, you are going to be relying on dodge. So it's kind of tricky because, again, like the Pan, she really wants to dodge, but she also has the part of her passive where she gets an extra buff after she receives an attack, because she gets 180% attack and defense for 3 turns after getting hit. And then she just gets attack and then the additional attack with a medium chance to become a super if she dodges. So obviously receiving an attack gives her the extra defense, which is going to be then important for soaking up any other future hits. So we did get hit on her previous turn. We didn't get a dodge. So obviously she could still have an extra 180% attack and that chance to do an extra super. But since she got hit on the previous turn and we'll get the extra defense buff, and then obviously she has the defense buffs from her super attack effects, the goal will be to put her in slot 1 on this next turn. Hope that she does actually dodge an attack before she attacks, and then we can kind of try and get like the maximum attacks out of 1 turn. I was going to say, oh god, look how many attacks there are though. Alright, well, we got the support from these guys. We got Android Assault, Shocking Speed, Infinite Energy. I mean, that is a lot of extra defense from getting that buff. That's not what I expected at all. So she has 1.1 million defense start of turn. That is significantly higher than I expected it to be. The 50% raise for 3 turns. I mean, we only got what? We did 2 supers in the previous turn. I mean, yeah, 180% after getting the attack is definitely a lot. So, I mean, I guess we can try and get away here with putting her in slot 1, because at least for normals against this guy, she should take double-digit damage. I'm not really sure what will happen if we... I don't know how hard this guy hits, but with type disadvantage, she's probably not tanking a super. But we need her to dodge at least 1 attack here. There we go. Because now that gives her the big attack buff. You see the numbers at the bottom go up. And then, yeah, she now does 9.8 million. Pretty significant difference from the 1 point something from the first turn. But I guess the biggest problem here is that these additional attacks that have a chance to become a super that are part of her passive, which can be procced in these couple of different ways, they're only a medium chance. So as you can see, we get like a bunch of additional normals. So she only got, the only reason we even got the actual second super is because she gets a guaranteed additional super if there's an android ally on the team. And then if that 5th attack was the hidden potential, it was only the normal. So that's obviously going to be quite disappointing. She's doing like 5 attacks in the turn, but only 2 of them are super attacks. But we'll see what we're looking like here for the next set of attacks. Let's go ahead and transform you. Might as well start getting some more healing. Do this. Do this. But yeah, I mean, the 18s are in kind of a weird spot with some of the categories that they're on in terms of these like big teams. Obviously, they are all on Peppy Gals, so there's always that option for the Roshi team where you can run a lot of really strong characters and then any Peppy Gals with a 200% leader skill. But then, yeah, she's on Majin Buu Saga, which, as we spoke about with Pan, is a team that has like a long line of top tier units that you want to fit on the team. and obviously doesn't have another androids ally as an option. And then obviously the android team in general hasn't received buffs for quite a while. I mean, this team can still work for some events, but it is tricky with picking some of these units that are actually still like meta relevant. Siblings Bond is still a team that's a bit all over the place. Worthy Rivals and Battle of Wits are as well. Like, they are categories that have really good units on, but not like an optimal like peak build. And she got sealed. Let's do that. Transform you. Yeah, see, now she's lost the buff from getting hit that previous time. She's got 427k. She has 3 links with them, 4 links with her, including Battlefield Diva, so we'll do that. But yeah, it's going to come down to very much like the pan. It's like you want her to be going in slot 1, dodging a hit and taking a hit, and then, there you go. And then, yeah, once she took the hit and gets the big buff, she goes from taking like 100k to taking double-digit damage. And then she's doing a 10 million attack. Her full passive is now active, but it's the problem with, yeah, all these additionals that are proccing for her passive, but then medium chance to become a super. Like, I know she is a free-to-play unit. Like, all these World Tournament units are technically free-to-play. But, man, when you get an EZA and you only have, like, additional attack that has a medium chance to become a super, like, that's really not very good. Because, yeah, that's the first time I think we've gotten one of them convert. We did 3 super attacks in the turn. But remember that 1 additional super is guaranteed because we have androids allies. So only 1 of those additional attacks that has a medium chance to convert did, or was the hidden potential. It's still possible that actually neither of the medium chance ones went off at all, and then we just got the hidden potential additional super. So she obviously does have some potential, but yeah, I don't know. It's just yet another, a tale as old as time, I guess, with these World Tournament units, where even when they are relatively decent, they're not like at a level where they're really sort of earning a spot on these top tier teams. Androids, I think, as an overall category, definitely needs some significant buffs in order for it to be a fully like meta relevant team again. I mean, there's still some good units on this team, right? Like the INT Android 16 does pretty decently here. Gamma 1 is good for support, relatively good defensively. Started to age out a little bit now. MVP 17 obviously has aged a fair bit. We saw him getting clapped in that short like first clip. Android 21 can still be relatively decent like after she's gotten a bunch of her attacks off. But yeah, unfortunately 18, when it comes to the teams that she's on, especially the 200% teams, the STR Carnival Goku Battle of Wits team is definitely a weird sort of build for. I don't think it's a team that you would really run her on. But yeah, I mean, once she does get those buffs and everything, relatively solid stats, but I don't know, it's just a another case of a unit that is kind of good, but like with the caveat of being like kind of good for a free-to-play unit, but then are they really going to get a spot on some of these teams? And as I mentioned in the previous video, a lot of people now, after power creep, anything under a 10 million attack stat is considered bad, even if it is a free-to-play unit sometimes. But I mean, she can get up to around 10 once you start getting these additionals. Obviously on this rotation we don't have any support, but yeah, she's an interesting unit for sure, but definitely not anything like super crazy. Her best link partner is that physical like 18 and 21 unit. So if that unit gets an EZA at some point, that would be quite an interesting combo. But again, like, I guess to be fair as well, when we talk about the numbers, remember that I am only running her on a double 170 lead, whereas as I always say, I normally like to do these showcases on a 200% lead if possible. So the fact that she got up to, there was that turn where she was starting at like 1.1 million defense, and that's on a 170 team and not a 200%. So the numbers can definitely get up there, but it's interesting that her and Pan did both release in the same batch, because they are very similar. Like these units that aren't really offering a lot to the team other than like sitting in slot 1, kind of hoping that they're going to dodge, whereas 18 as well does actually need to take at least 1 hit. and then the first hit she's going to take a bit more damage because then she gets the buff. It's not one of those ones where she gets the buff as soon as she gets hit, because we've obviously seen her take like 100 odd K and then take double digit damage. So yeah, I don't know. She can get up to some interesting numbers. You could definitely have some shenanigans with her. You know, against like a tech boss, you could probably maybe get away with running her a bit more than you could in a different event potentially. But overall, I would say that the 18, again, we talked about it in the pan video. If we were separating world tournament units into like really good, mid, and like bad, she would probably just be in the mid category, like maybe towards the top of that tier. But she's not like a Mr. Boo level, like, you know, she gets her EZA, we try her out, and it's like, damn, we need to put her on these teams because she's doing some interesting stuff, but just not enough to warrant being like a crazy top pick or anything like that. So, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think of Android 18 and her EZA down below in the comment section. Where would you use her? What are your thoughts on her kit? Let me know all of that down below. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.